and reflectors on it. Now the reflectors are like you see on license plates. So we wouldn't buy them, we'd liberate them from some license plates. So one day, we're out liberating some reflectors to put on the skate scooters. A police officer who was black in plain clothes chased us, and he caught me because I was the smallest. And instead of taking me to the police station, he brought me home to my mother and grandmother. They took all my clothes off, they stood me up in the bathtub and beat me with straps. And I haven't stolen a reflector since. But my mommy, she was about 5'2" and co-captain of the girls' basketball team at Huntington High School in Newport News, Virginia. And my mother thought that I could do anything. And she thought I was just, and when I graduated from high school, she wanted to have a parade. And she was still alive when I was elected to the state legislature, to the assembly. And she was so proud. But I was in the United States Marine Corps, and I used to write her notes and said, "To my best girl." And my mommy was, she was terrific. And I thought my mother and father would get back together because they were always very civil with one another. We'd be together at Christmas and Easter and things like that. So when my father told me he was going to remarry, I cried a week. Oh man, I was tore up. But God is good. My stepmother developed to be like another mother. So I have since had two mothers, and when I got married, my father-in-law became like another father. And so I have been very fortunate in life, and I know it. But see, I am old, and people say, "You're not old, age is only a number." And I said, that's what young people say to old people. But I am old. If you're closer to 90 than you are to 80, you're old. But children, we really, really do love you, we care about you. And what you must do is your own thinking. For God's sake, don't let somebody dumber than you lead you down the wrong path. See, peer pressure is tough. Peer pressure can be very hard, but you must resist this because you know what's right and what's wrong. And whatever you do, don't be a bully. My God, that's so uncool. It really is. And when I was young, I was little. And that's why I wanted to be in the Marine Corps, because they were drafting people and the war was going on. This is 1945. And that sounds like the olden days, right? But it was the olden days. And I figured that the best way to increase my chances of survival was to be well-trained, and the way to be well-trained was to be a Marine. I had never heard of the Army Rangers or the Navy SEALs. They may not have even had them in 1945, but I knew about the Marine Corps. And so I started out to enlist because that was the way to get the branch of service you wanted. Otherwise, when you waited to be drafted, you step up and they said, "What do you want?" You said, "Navy." You said, "Army." Next, "What do you want?" You say, "Army." "Navy." Whatever you wanted, they give you something else. So the only way to get the branch of service you wished was to enlist. So I set out to enlist in the Marine Corps. It's a very long story, because there were no blacks at all in the Marine Corps prior to 1942. But last year, all Marines, black Marines who were trained at Montford Point, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. The white recruits were trained at Parris Island, South Carolina. But all of us who were trained at Montford Point were given a Congressional Gold Medal, like the Tuskegee Airmen had. So I called my friend Roscoe Brown, who I call a fighter pilot. He was a Tuskegee Airman, the first in his group to shoot down a German jet while flying a prop. Think about what that took. He was the president of Bronx Community College for, I don't know, 14, 15 years. He's a brilliant man. So I called him up, I said, Roscoe, they invited me to Washington and they're going to give me, all of us, everybody who was there between 42 and 49, we were going to give the Congressional Gold Medal. I said, man, I really didn't do anything. I said, and the Tuskegee Airmen had a Congressional Gold Medal, so I want to know, is it all right? He said, oh yeah, you can get it. But you know the name Percy Sutton?
Yes.
Percy Sutton was a Tuskegee Airman too. Oh yeah, those guys. And when I went to Washington and went down to the Marine Corps barracks and to get this award, I had a 3-star general place a medal, a ribbon, a replica of it around my neck. And I said, man, and I was one of the young ones. Everybody was in wheelchairs and walkers and things because they had been there, some of them in 42, 43. And thank you, buddy. And but it was quite an honor. My bride came with me, and she was appropriately impressed, I think. I'll tell you one quick story about my bride, and then I will leave you. When I was in the mayor's office, one day I'm riding in a limousine with my wife, and her name is Joyce. I said, Joyce, see the fellow over there with the shovel digging the ditch? Is that the fellow you used to date? I said, now honey, I'm not knocking ditch digging because I have dug ditches. I mean, I really, truly, honestly got that. I've dug ditches, waited tables, worked in factories, shined shoes, washed dishes. I had all kinds of jobs. So I'm not knocking that, but that is the fellow you used to date, isn't it? She said, yeah, as a matter of fact, it is. I said, see, if you'd married him, you'd be the wife of a ditch digger. She said, no, if I'd married him, he'd be mayor.